私はあなたを食べる。私の望むものはどこ？ 透明な嵐の中、私は探す。ペロ、何を探すの？ペロ、どこを探すの？
Lesbian Bear Storm is a show about lesbians, bears, with storms. It's not rocket science, alright? Although the title could be translated as Lily Bear Storm, which is also an accurate description of this show. This is the first Kunihiko Ikuhara show I've watched, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure of everything I've just witnessed. Well, why is that, you ask? I think that's the first thing about the show that sticks out. Nothing in here is to be taken at face value. Everything is pretty much representational of something, which is a bit of an issue for me since I tend to take pretty much everything I watch very literally. Listen, I'm kind of a dummy, alright? I dropped community college English partially because it became less about English and more about how many symbols you can decipher from this work, and also because the teacher was a dumb bitch. Anyway, I had a difficult time deciphering all the symbolism in this show, and a good portion of it went straight over my head. It's a pretty big hurdle to get over if you're interested in checking YURIKUMA out, and the show does not ease you into it either. You sit down to watch episode 1 and BAM! Symbolism. It's unfortunate because I think a lot of people who went into the show blind were probably really put off by the first episode's excessive orgy of symbols. Did I mention the show is absolutely chock full of symbolism? I feel like I did. Symbol, symbol, symbol. However, if you can get past all that, it's actually a straightforward show about love, betrayal, friendship, trust, and sexual identity, and that worked just fine for a walnut like me. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm no lesbian, but if I were, I feel like maybe I would have gotten a little more out of the show's characters. That said, I found that the characters were all very well done, and given the show's brief 12-episode run, that's a difficult thing to do considering the size of the main cast is fairly large. There aren't really any main heroes or villains here. I mean, come on, you thought the cast would be straightforward with all that symbolism fucking thrown around everywhere? Instead, characters are representational of issues in the real world, embodiments of stereotypes, anti-stereotypes. There's a lot of stuff that, again, went over my head, but luckily if all the symbolism wackiness just goes right past you like it did to me, you can just sit back and enjoy all the cute imagery that the show throws at you. And good thing too, because this show, for the most part, looks great. The animation isn't particularly special in any way, and the character designs aren't all that impressive, but it's the scenery of the show that's the real winner here. The school looks amazing, the courtroom looks wacky and cool, the main character's house looks like something out of a Lewis Carroll novel. It was great. And the cinematography is implemented in such a way that every little architectural detail is taken advantage of. Unfortunately, I do have some beef with the production, but in order to explain it, I'm gonna have to use one of those anime community buzzwords. Budget. Oh yes, I know. And even I will argue to the ends of the earth that a show's budget has nothing to do with how the final project looks, but in this case, it's pretty easy to tell that the staff was working with moderately limited funds. While the quality of the animation and background art was consistent, the show did have a tendency to reuse snippets of animation over and over again, and while all the sets were gorgeous, there was really only select few that just got visited over and over and over again. It's sort of a backhanded compliment that I can actually give the show, considering I was never bored with what I was looking at. It's like when you go to a family reunion and your senile old great-grandmother leans over and asks you how school's going in that charming great-grandmotherly way, only to lean over and ask you the same exact thing again 3 minutes later. The show sounds great too. The opening is ethereal, the ending is bumpin', and the soundtrack was really good. However, the composer did seem to have a bit of a hard-on for Ave Maria, and towards the end of the show, it really seemed like 90% of the soundtrack was composed of various arrangements and variations on that song, which I'm sure was symbolic of something or another, but like I mentioned earlier, a lot of that symbolism was lost in a mere pleb like myself. I could just see Ikuhara bursting in the composer's studio like, "Yo dude, I'm stuffing as many symbols into this shit as I can, but I need some classical music in that BGM as well. What you got?" The composer just goes, well, I just got done watching Monica Magica, and I thought the implementation of Ave Maria was artistically well done. Fucking sold! That'll be part of the video where I try to break down what sort of symbols I got through the imagery of the show, but as someone who considers themselves to be, well, kind of an idiot to be honest with you, I'm not gonna try and embarrass myself that way. Hey, wait a minute. Bears are supposed to be symbolic of lesbians, yeah, and the school was trying to make the main characters remain part of the boring status quo, which I think was symbolic of how much of modern society treats a homosexual community. Okay, alright, I'm getting the hang of it now. Let's see here. The school building itself was mostly sectioned looking, reminiscent of a honeycomb, which could mean that the students were all meant to be drones of their society, much like bees who go about their duties day in and day out. Also, the more villainy members of the cast were shown to be very dominating or jealous people, perhaps embodying the stereotype that that's how society views homosexuals, as predatory and jealous. Oh shit, I'm on a roll. Okay, so we also had lilies everywhere, which by themselves can be symbolic of purity, chastity, friendship, and bonds, which were often destroyed by the school to try and dissuade the main characters from their ways. But wait. Back to the school, and we have it, the most obvious symbol of them all. The school itself is a giant triangular shape. So does that mean that the building is supposed to be representational of the Illuminati, and the entire time the show has been telling me that the Illuminati is trying to suppress the homosexual agenda? Yeah, maybe not. Do I recommend you watch YURIKUMA Arashi? If you can get past all the symbolism, then yes. If not, you should give it a go anyway. I guess just see if you like it or not. Anyway, that's it for me. Check out my seasonal preview guide I just did. Got a couple other reviews up that are pretty okay, I guess. And if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel, like this video, all that bullshit. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.